So here's how I do this. I get good results. I get results that people really like. I get results that people buy from me. So, this is to each their own, but here's how I do it. Preheating right now, and I preheat this on P5 manual, so it's the hottest it can get in there until the B temp gets up to 220-ish. We're getting towards our preheat here, so we can see 217. The temp lags, so you can cut it off anytime about now. So we hit off, take this out, load our beans in. Try and do this as quickly as possible because you don't want to let all the heat out of there. There we go. Okay, and step 1, half pound, start P5, and I'm going to start this over here as well, and leave it on slow drum to start. And this is going to go until the afterburner kicks on, which this clock will read roughly 7 minutes, I believe, at a half pound. So we're going to let that go, and by that time the beans should actually be starting to be nice and yellow and moving on. So come back when that happens. Okay, it's about 4 minutes into the roast here. It's really hard to tell. I've tried doing this before, but putting a camera up to the window is useless because of that light bouncing off the inside from the quartz heaters in there. It just turns everything in there yellow for the actual camera. It can't focus on it. But the beans are starting to yellow, which is where I try and get it. I like to have it roughly about 4 minutes for that kind of drying phase. So at 7 minutes, that's when the afterburner kicks on. Let me double check it. We'll watch here at what happens to the A temp. This is what I found is incredibly critical to the mastering of a Behmor. Yeah, there's the afterburner. It just kicked on. Okay, watch what happens to the A temp here. Now that it's going up, it goes up real fast. It's going to get up over 200 by a lot, like 230-ish or something like that. And incidentally, this is an espresso profile I like to use, so it's going to be a little bit nutty in a second here, but watch what happens to the A temperature. Okay, here we go. And right about 235 or so, let's see. There we go. See how it's falling? Went up to 230 and now it's actually falling. So before you do anything else, make sure that stabilizes. So this is where the next step I'd like to take is. So it's gonna, I don't know where it's gonna drop and bottom, but I like to wait till it goes back up to about 230. The beans are now really nice and tan in there. Okay, so here's where this profile is a little funky, but bear with me. So when I get to 235, the beans are starting to get super tan and brown. I go to fast drum, and I drop the heat to P4. This is based off something I read from Tom at Sweet Maria's that said that the fast drum speed mimics airflow in a drum roaster. So now that we've kind of got the beans past drying, I want to start playing with airflow and dropping the heat a little bit. What I'm going to do is kind of coast this through a Maillard reaction and hang in there a little bit further. So the curve is going to go like this and then up again. Slow start, fast finish. It works. I like it. Again, to each their own. So we'll come back in a little bit when we make our next step. And because absolutely no Behmor video is complete unless you have this part. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stupid mode. Incidentally, that last step I did when I went down to P4, if I was doing a straight kind of rowish profile, I would have let the A temp get up to about 285 before I dropped to P4, and then I would have left it there. And I would leave it at P4 until first crack happened. This profile, I wait until this comes back down to about 2 minutes. It's going to be, where are we at? Through here, yeah. So, 3:16. Yeah, so at 2 minutes, I'm going to go back up to P5, which is the weird part about this. because that's going to launch it into first crack. Actually, I'm going to do it at 325 right there. So go back to here. Now we're at P5 again, and we're going to stay here until first crack. And then when first crack gets going, we will drop it down to P3, actually. You can hear crack starting right there, perhaps. And those are outliers, but we're at 10 minutes right now. There we go. There's first crack. Let's get it fully going here. There we go. Okay, so C, add some more time, and drop down to P4. And I will drop it to P3 in a little bit here. This prevents that little flick that Scott Rao talks about. Make sure that there's a slight drop that happens when the beans start popping, so you can ride through that. And that's what his number one cause of baked beans is what he said was that. Okay, now down to P3, and we'll let that sit through the end here. I do take this particular profile right to the edge of second crack. So when first crack is over, I'm going to do something a little weird again. But you can see we're at 11:30 right now total roast time, so this won't go past 15 minutes. In fact, it won't go past 13. Nope, there's my stupid alarm. There we go. Always fun. There's the beginnings of second crack right there. So we're at 12 minutes and 15 seconds, and we are done. Cool. So there we go. There's the roast profile that I like to use for espresso, and that was 12 minutes and 15 seconds total roast time. Incidentally, for cooling, I just open the door like this and let it sit. I've done some tests on this, and they're pretty darn cool by about 5.5 minutes in there, just leaving it like that. The rest of the time, they're just tumbling and chaff's falling off, which is okay by me. And I let it just keep running like that because the machine likes to cool down, but the beans actually are quite cool by the time you end up with, like I said, about 5 minutes into it, the beans they're done, they're cool, and you're okay. There's a finished product. For some reason, they come out slightly darker on video than they do in real life. They're actually a little bit lighter than that. It is darker than some people like. It's definitely darker than most third wave stuff, but this is the espresso that I have every morning. I like it.